morning, everyone. Happy Thursday morning, evening, or night, whatever it is in your neck of the woods. My name is 12 Gauge, and welcome to my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. I don't have a lot of time this morning, but I thought I'd make a quick video based on my impression on what I've been hearing lately and seeing lately all over the internet about the recent ISP photo drop. I even made a video yesterday that I comprised a lot of pros and cons versus some of the major things that I've heard on this Idaho 4K. You know, there's a lot of people that get on these streams and as creators and they speak as if they're psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists, lawyers, paralegals. I even saw one person mention their degree, but yet whenever they used to have this this so-called degree on their page entry, it said certificate. A degree doesn't say certificate. But that's neither here nor there. I didn't get on here to hate on people, but merely call a spade a spade. You know what I mean? It's like it's okay to have opinion. It's okay to have life experiences that dictate your knowledge, but it's not okay to defame other people just for the sake of your inability to be at a better place in life. There's people that put the moniker doctor in front of their name and instantly they're more respected than other people who have lived life on the on life battlefields and have learned more about everyday true crime situations than somebody who learned it out of a book. And that's what I see on YouTube. I see a lot of people that are respected, not based because they actually have the knowledge. No, merely just because they have some kind of moniker or some kind of self proclaimed past experience of doing this. Well, I can tell you, I'm on the front lines every morning, every day, from 8 to 5, and most of the time I'm on call. I'm not only a therapist, I'm also an officer of the court. So I'm prevalent to see probable cause affidavits, videos of the crime scene, video of the crime taking place, the suspected person involved, all these things. But yet, when I speak on my knowledge of it, it's never taken seriously. It's never taken as I know what I'm talking about. But if I were just to get on here and you would have never known what I do for a living, and I start just creating the most outlandish scenarios, all in the name of entertainment, boy, I would have had so many fans you just don't even know. But YouTube is a finicky place. It's about who you hang with and whether people like you because you like them. And that's what it's all about. It really is. Like when these photos came out, the latest photos from the ISP, people were hungry, as in the video that I presented yesterday, they were hungry to move the goalpost, so to speak. not because anything different had been shown, but their denial increased just a little more. And by their denial increasing a little more, I'm saying they refuse to see what is being presented to them in a photo. Many people zoom in, claim to be blood spatter experts, Amido Black experts. There's no way that could have done this. I've seen questions where people ask, "What does Amido Black do?" Well, let me go Google it. Just because you can read doesn't mean you have a code of understanding. I saw an individual that actually does this stuff for a living. And many people are already saying that Susanna had been scribbling something on the nightstand to try to tell who it was. Let me ask you a question. And this is, be sincere when you answer this to yourself. You're fighting for your life. You're getting stabbed over 30 something times. And I'm not trying to be graphic, but the truth is the truth. You're getting stabbed over 30 times, fighting for your life, fighting for your boyfriend's life. Are you going to stop to scribble something on a nightstand to leave a clue behind the police? Does that sound logical to you? It only sounds logical in other scenarios where it's happened, but it's done in a way where it's legitimate. The person that I was watching stated the facts. She is a forensic PhD investigator. And she said those weren't scribble marks, those were swab marks. Meaning that after they took certain photos, they swabbed the blood for certain clues. So those swab marks made those squiggly lines. And I'm in no way disrespecting anybody that may have thought that. This is where it becomes detrimental to this case and always has been. Whenever you find out exactly what the truth is, you get angry and you get frustrated because your theory was wrong. As a society, we have gotten to that point where nobody wants to accept that they're wrong, that they were wrong about anything. That's why they fight so hard to be right, to move that goalpost every time that there's new photos, new videos, new interviews, because they have to hang on to something that makes them relevant in this world. And that's what this case is about. It's about relevancy. If it shows you anything, it doesn't show you corruption. It doesn't show you misguided police incompetence. It doesn't show you victim trying to hide, surviving victim trying to hide things. It shows you that people's relevancy or lack of makes them want to tune in every day to discuss something that's already been long gone. The dust has settled. And still, the relevancy is so severe in people's lives that they have to continue digging up rehashed questions and rehashed things that they've read throughout the years or heard other people say and use it as their own. Viviana made me laugh earlier because I watched one of her latest videos about another creator who basically copyrighted another creator, used the content as her own. And this isn't the first time that I've seen this happen. Multitudes of people just tune into other people just so they can steal something, whether it be music, whether it be graphics, whether it be backgrounds, whether it be a new concept. People plagiarize all over YouTube. And once again, I'm not the moral compass of YouTube, but you know what? For you not to see it shows your blind faith in the blind. It really shows where you're at in your own mind if your mental capacity doesn't question those things. Because you're so busy questioning things that may or may not ever make sense to anybody who thinks about the Idaho 4 case, but you resist asking the questions about the people who are telling you these things. You refuse to even give them a pushback on anything that they say just because they make you feel better about yourself on a daily basis because your relevance level has no relevance whatsoever in your own life. You can see people that don't have much power over their own lives. They get on this internet and they must exert their power over others. They must yell at them. They must call them stupid. They must make statements that belittle them and things like that. There's there's a lot of people that are seeking acceptance on this internet. They're not seeking truth. They're not seeking justice. They're not seeking knowledge of the crime. They're seeking relevancy within the chat, within the creator. That's all it's about. If you were to ask people, if you were to take down everything and scrub everything on Idaho 4, and you actually ask somebody about it, would they be able to tell you the evidence that's been presented through the PCA? Or would they instantly be questioning everything that they were reciting to you? Because remember, in the beginning, they have no evidence. They have no evidence. There is no blood. There is no this. There is no that. Well, don't you look mighty ignorant making those statements? Because if those photos that you see don't show you that it was a bloody crime scene all the way up to the third floor, you need to go back to your doctor and get on some different meds because obviously you're very delusional. And that is blood. That is not Kool-Aid. That is not a mixture of fake blood and all this other stuff because you know what? If you really know anything about anything, you understand that the little bubble looking things that you saw in the blood coagulating, Tell me what that is without Googling it. Sure, we can get on here, we can be contrite, and we can challenge everything and question everything and don't let any stone be unturned. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, are you hurting others more than you're helping the case that has already been solved? You know, I talked to a mother of one of the victims yesterday before I made my video. And I told her, I said, you know, I'm just letting you know I'm making a video of this. I'm not going to show any of the kids, not going to show any of the anything that disrespects you or your family or anybody else involved. I said, I know you've told me you don't watch it anyway, so I'm just letting you know that if you hear that I made a video of this, that I'll let you know first. And she said, okay. And I told her, I said, this is going to be the last one that I make on this. The last one with any images, anything like that, I'm done with it. Because there's nowhere to go from here. They basically buried the case when they released those photos. There should be nowhere to go from here. I'm tired of hearing about should Dylan and Bethany call 911. I have family members around that age, and they were being chased by a vehicle. Out of fear, did they drive to the police station like they should have? Did they call 911 in their own vehicle? No. You know what they did? They did what the movies have taught them to do. Try to lose the person chasing you. They were going over the excess of 100 miles an hour down the interstate, going in and out of neighborhood, trying to lose this vehicle, and this vehicle kept following them because they thought they were going to get shot. So that fear of losing their lives derailed their logic. Sure, their mother and myself can sit back and look at the situation and say, why didn't they go to the police station? Why didn't they call 911? Instead of putting their lives in danger and doing all this crazy stuff. Because fear makes you do irrational things. And you might not think I'm much of a therapist because I don't really get on here as a therapist, but therapy is not giving opinion. But I have the knowledge to understand human behavior, and I have the knowledge to understand thinking patterns. I may not have a doctor next to my name, but I can tell you that I'm able to understand human psyche a lot better than some of the people that claim to be doctors. Now back to the story. So they get chased all the way around. They finally lose them. They come home. They didn't sleep because what if they know where they live? Are they going to shoot up the house? Blah, 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 all this and that. So that is an example of a young mind not understanding reality versus what you've seen in the movies, because movies, unfortunately, are most of people's life experiences that don't have to deal with a lot of trauma growing up. People that don't have to deal with overcoming obstacles because those obstacles are taken care of for their from their parents, their monetary, housing, hygiene, eating, all that stuff taken care of, so they don't have to worry about it. So whenever life presents an event where it hasn't been taken care of for you, guess what you do? You panic and you handle that situation in the best way you know how. And what better way to understand something than video games, television shows, movies, and even other people that you have influence from, those who we call friends. You know, a lot of people lack grace on these YouTube streets. They lack grace in the families. They lack grace in the murdered kids. They lack grace in the surviving roommate. They lack grace in the investigators. They lack grace in everything but the killer, the one who decided to plea. And if you go back to my video yesterday, you'll understand why he pled. I broke it down for you. May not be my voice, but I broke it down for you. I challenged every thought that I've heard on these platforms for 3.5 years. And they all have logical explanations. But like everything else, it'll get 5 views because people don't want to see that. They don't want to hear that. And I know well enough you can't change somebody based on your own struggle to try to get them to understand something that they're unwilling to see. Most people are unwilling to look at their lives and realize that they need to change certain things to become a better person. You showing it to them only infuriates them because they see exactly what you're talking about on a daily basis. I gave up on that a long time ago. You know, it's sad that these photos, as I was looking at them, and I don't get sick easily, but I was getting sick to my stomach looking at these photos. I was getting sick of my stomach, imagining in my head, through all the document read, through everything that I've gone through in this case, I could see the crime unfolding in my head because I actually read the documents. I did lives on it. I did all this stuff. I went over the lab reports, all this stuff, and I could actually see the crime happening. But that's the difference. I'm not looking to vindicate anybody. I never have, never will. That's the difference in my channel and other people's channels. They shouldn't call themselves investigators. They shouldn't call themselves true crime. They should call themselves gossip channels, hatred channels. Not only do most women on here hate men, they hate themselves and they have people in their lives that they made poor decisions with that have jaded them to the point of no return. There's creators on here that have lost people in their lives because of the belief that the police got the case wrong and now they're anti-police in every vocal cord of their mouth. There's people on here that have their own agenda that they push on a daily basis, no matter what. You'll never get them to relinquish any level of control over being wrong. They won't say they're right, but damn well they'll ride the fence because they don't want to be brave enough to take a stance one way or the other. It's easy to be on the other side of the coin where you're saying nothing makes sense and this doesn't add up and what about this and what about that and what about this. You're asking those questions that have nothing to do with the case because you remember discovery in the very beginning. All the stuff that we've seen has been the discovery. How come Ann Taylor didn't fight to remove any of this? If her client was so innocent, how come she didn't fight to remove it, suppress it, suppress the videos, suppress the sound that you hear on Linda Lane, all this stuff. How come she didn't suppress it? She was just fixated on getting the death penalty off the case. So if that doesn't tell you anything, nothing I say or anybody else says will make you see anything different. Because if your lawyer is trying to get the death penalty off the case, and that's her most important prerogative, that means that she believes that you're guilty. And she's trying to save your life. Well, I don't know what else to say because I've said a lot in my 3 years and so much time covering the Idaho 4. There's nothing more to say on my end. The theory get more ridiculous. I saw the other day on TikTok, somebody took a photo of Linda Lane, the 1320 camera. You know, where all those lights are lit up because of the camera view of the cars. And they said, look at all these lights, they're on. Is that a signal? What are they waiting for? And look in this car, you can see Murphy. And you listen to this and you go, I know exactly where they got all this bullshit from. Doesn't take much to know where all this bullshit comes from because it's still being peddled on a daily basis. And I'll leave you with this. Take a look around your neighborhood, your job, your surrounding, your family. Pick a name, any name. And within your immediate circle, how many people have the same name? Look around your neighborhood. Look around. How many people have a dog that barks? Look around your neighborhood. How many people drive around? If it's illegal in your state to have a front, that you have to have a front license plate. How many cars do you see on a daily without one? And it's not abnormal to order a K-bar knife, a sharpener, or a sheath. But do you ever wonder if they asked him where these objects were? And if you weren't the killer and you ordered these things, and you happen to drive the same car that they were looking for, wouldn't you have told them, my sheath is here, my knife is here, the sharpener's here? They didn't even find the sharpener. They found the sheath. They didn't find the sharpener or the K-bar. So where are those things? You ordered these, but they didn't find it in any of the inventory. Not at your house, not at your dad's house, not in your vehicle. Where is it? But those aren't the questions that people ask. They ask, what does Amito Black do? And is that blood at the bottom of the stairs with all that blue stuff? Is there blood everywhere that blue stuff is? No. That blue stuff is looking for the presence of. identifying proteins that react to the imidoblood. So if it was a cleanup, don't you think I don't even want to go there. It wasn't a cleanup. Your dumbass is going to be stupid enough to clean up the kitchen, clean up the hallways, but leave shit on the pool, on the ping pong table, leave blood on the ping pong table, leave blood all in the room. Because I had a theory that I listened to one of the serial killers in the past. He would wipe down the bodies with bleach, so there'd be no DNA, nothing, no blood, no nothing. Don't you think that would have been more likable to be a cleanup if the killer was truly trying to get away with it? He would have wiped down the bodies. Therefore, there would have been no blood, no mixture of blood, nothing. But this guy wasn't that great, so stop making him a mastermind. And I'll leave you with this. In the 3.5 years since these crimes occurred, you swear up and down that the killers are still out there. Well, most of the time, if you're a local killer, there's going to be more bodies. Especially if you're one of those killers that is a mass killer, kills more than one person at once. How come there hasn't been any big news like this since this crime? Because they got the guy. Because they got the guy. And he pleaded. Because since day one, that those handcuffs went around his wrist and those leg irons went around his ankles. His whole goal was to save his own life. But being cowardly to sneak into a residence at 11:22 in the middle of the night while people were sleeping or intoxicated, knowing that that would be an easy kill. He's no martyr. He's a coward. And he deserves to be exactly where he is and so much more. I can't tell you what to do because the fire is only getting hotter. Hopefully one day it goes away because it's ridiculous at this point. To the families, if y'all watch this, my condolences once again to all the four that you lost and the surviving roommates. May you eventually find peace on this earth because I know peace was stolen from you as well that night. No matter how many smiles you have in the pictures after the fact, there's no way you could ever be the same. Trauma doesn't act like that. We have people that swear up and down they're breaking down the psychological point when that's not even their degree status. So basically, you have somebody just giving you opinions, trying to sound smart. Kudos to you. Such a sad, sad ending to something that I've known all along. And I've told you it was a quick, boring, cut and dry case from start to finish. All this other drama, bullshit outside the home, people have failed to actually look at the crime scene because everything else outside the home makes it more intriguing. From the devastation and the violence that happened inside. Till next time, watch your six and take care of yourself and your families. Hopefully, those of you that get on here and declare incompetence and all this other stuff, hopefully you don't need the police. Hopefully one of your family members doesn't get murdered and their photos and the crime scene get splattered all over the internet. Because that's the last person I want to hear from stating privacy. Because you sure as hell don't value other people's privacy, and they're the creator that doesn't value anything. She shouldn't be taken seriously about anything she says. She's just a vile, angry person, sad and desperate. And it bleeds all over her lives. And you know what? All the people that follow her can relate to that. That's why they're following her. Because they have a vile, pathetic life as well. Till next time, I'm 12 Gauge, and this is my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. Y'all have a lovely Thursday. Stay safe. Maestro, cue that music.